Christina Barnhart with Chantel Ray Real Estate, and this is Christy Holland.
Hi.
And she's with Atlantic Bay Mortgage, and we just wanted to talk a little bit about the VA loans and how they benefit our military here. We are so lucky to have so many military members in Hampton Roads area. So how does the VA loan benefit our military members?
So, excellent question. The VA loan is a wonderful program for current active duty military as well as veterans, anyone who is eligible for the VA benefits. It's a great program where the buyers or borrowers can borrow up to 100% of the purchase price of their property without having to put any money down as a down payment on the purchase. And it doesn't have any private mortgage insurance built in, which most loan programs do have mortgage insurance, whether it's the conventional with private mortgage insurance or if it's the FHA with the built-in mortgage insurance. That ultimately increases the payment amount. But with the VA loan, you borrow 100%, no down payment, and no mortgage insurance. So you have the lowest payment possible. Interest rates are fantastic on VA loans, much better than they even are on the other programs, as previously discussed. And like I said, no money down. I mean, it's a fantastic program, and if they can, negotiate closing costs and things like that, then they can actually buy a house without any money out of pocket.
So can you talk a little bit about the private mortgage insurance and why the VA loans don't have that?
So typically speaking, with any mortgage type aside from the VA loan, if you don't have at least a 20% down payment, then the lenders require what's called mortgage insurance, private mortgage insurance, to protect their investment in the property, because statistics show that if you don't have at least 20% down, then you're more likely to walk away from the property because you don't have enough skin in the game.
Right.
So they require this to secure their interest in the property in the event that the property were to go into foreclosure or something like that. The VA does not have to fall into that category because the VA actually secures the veteran's loan. So the VA is guaranteeing to the lender that the loan is going to be good.
Right.
And so they secure that interest and they provide it. And so it gives the lender the security that they need without having to require mortgage insurance.
Right. And I work with a bunch of military members, and that there's no money down. A lot of the first-time home buyers think that you don't have to come to closing with any money, but there are things that you do have to pay for outside of the loan that you cannot roll into the loan. Can you touch on that?
Absolutely, and that's a great point. So while the VA loan offers 100% financing of the purchase price of the property, there are additional closing costs that the buyer is responsible for. Things like attorney's fees, appraisals, home inspections, things like that. So the buyer still needs to have some money in savings in order to purchase a house. You have to have the money to be able to put a deposit down when you write the contract. You have to have funds to pay for the home inspection to make sure that the home is in good condition and that you're not getting something that you're not aware of. So all of those things fall under the closing cost category, and closing costs can be expensive depending on the purchase price of the home and things like that. So you want to make sure that you have some money set aside to cover any potential closing costs. And as I touched on a minute ago, when you're in negotiations, and you can speak more to this than I can, but when you're in negotiations with a seller on the purchasing of the property, it's not abnormal right now for sellers to pay or contribute to a portion of those closing costs.
That's right. So I have thankfully been able to negotiate the closing costs for every single military buyer so far that I've had, which it's a great thing for the military. I've even had clients that go to closing and they get money back.
Yes.
So it just depends, on how, what the house is, how long it's been on the market. There's a lot of variables that go into, real estate. And so you need people that are on your side that can fight for you, get you the best deal, and that can make sure that you're being looked after, the best way possible. So that's why you hire, professionals to do that for you.
Absolutely.
What are the rates like compared to, like, say, a conventional or FHA?
Usually a VA rate is a good 1/4% better than a conventional or FHA rate.
Right.
Obviously, it's hard to quote the exact rate, but usually that's a good average of the difference between the VA and a conventional.
Yeah, so that's also another benefit.
And so, as we just talked about, you mentioned that sometimes buyers actually get money back at closing, and the reason for that is that if you can negotiate for the seller to pay all of your closing costs, well, you have to remember back when you submitted that offer on the property, you had to write a earnest money deposit or a security deposit. So, however much you put down, so the the seller's covering all your closing costs. You've paid this earnest money deposit on the property, and then you're borrowing 100% of the purchase price of the property.
Right.
That deposit's just kind of floating there, and so a lot of
Yeah.
times we can actually end up refunding that to the client. So that's,
Right.
I mean, there's very few times where you can actually buy a house and
get
receive
money
money
back.
back at the closing,
Yeah.
but that can happen with a VA.
Yeah, I always get so excited for the veterans when that is able to happen.
Yes,
at
that's always
closing.
my goal.
Yes,
and
it is.
That's also the reason why it's very important to deal with experienced professionals, like you said,
Right.
because we deal with VA buyers all the time, and in fact, over 50% of my business is VA loans
Yeah.
because of the strong military that's in our community.
Right.
So the military presence that are in our community. So it's important to make sure that you deal with somebody who's experienced in that and knows how to negotiate on your behalf.
Right, and in this area, I guess we have so many military people, and we kind of click together. My dad's retired. I mean, I have a long list of my family that served, and I was also married. I call it married to the military for 13 years to a senior chief. So I get it, and I understand all of the issues that can come up along the way. PCSing is quite an ordeal when you're coming from long distances away. I get it, I understand, and I try to work with my buyers and make sure that you guys know that I understand, and I'm going to do as much as I can to make sure that it's an easy process for you. And I think having somebody that comes from military background, I think it makes it a little easier
For sure.
in that regard. So I just wanted to thank you for coming and talking to me about all of this and letting our viewers
Absolutely.
know. It's been a pleasure doing these videos with you, and I look forward to
Thanks.
doing more.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much
All
for
right.
having me. I really appreciate it, and hopefully we can help somebody out.
That's right. You guys have a good
Thanks.
day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.